My name is Evelyn Foster. I'm 32 years old, and until a few weeks ago, I thought I understood exactly how relationships worked. I believed that if you were patient enough, steady enough, grounded enough, you could build something that lasted, something real. I was wrong. I work as a project coordinator for a mid-sized tech firm. My life runs on structure, deadlines, deliverables, clear expectations. I like knowing where things are going.
Control. Stability. Intention.
That's my world. Or, at least, it was. Marcus Hale is the kind of man people notice without trying. Confident. Charming. The kind of energy that fills a room before he even says a word. When we met, it felt effortless. 4 years together. 2 years living in the same apartment. 6 months ago, I started putting money aside for our future. Not because he asked, but because I believed we were building toward something permanent. That night started like any other. I had just finished a long work day. I picked up Thai food on the way home, thinking we'd eat, relax, maybe watch something mindless. Instead, Marcus suggested we sit at the kitchen table. That should have been my first warning. He kept tapping his fingers against the table, not meeting my eyes. That nervous habit he had, when he'd already made a decision and was just working up the nerve to say it out loud. "Evelyn," he said, finally, "I love you." My stomach tightened slightly. "But," I said. He exhaled. "I've been feeling trapped." Trapped. The word landed heavier than I expected. Trapped how? I asked, keeping my voice even. I just feel like, before we take the next step, I need to figure out who I am. Explore a little. I stared at him for a second. "Okay," I said slowly. "What exactly are you saying?" He hesitated, then pushed forward. "I think we should open the relationship."
Silence.
"Date other people," he continued quickly, "but stay together. It could make us stronger." Stronger. I looked at him. Really looked at him. And something inside me went quiet. Not anger, not panic, just clarity. "You want to see other people," I said. "We would both see other people," he corrected, like he had rehearsed it. "But we'd still be each other's priority. Primary partners." Primary partners. He said it like it meant something. "It's healthy," he added. "Modern. My therapist says it can help people grow." 3 months. That's how long he'd been seeing that therapist. I set my fork down gently. "So," I said, "you want to explore your options, but keep me as your safety net." His expression tightened. "That's not fair, Evelyn, isn't it?" "It's about choosing each other consciously," he said. "Not just settling."
Settling.
4 years together, and suddenly I was a question mark. I took a slow sip of water, buying myself a moment, because the truth was, something had already shifted. "You know what?" I said finally. His face lifted, hopeful. "You're right." "Really?" he asked, almost too quickly. "Totally," I said. "Let's do it." Relief flooded his expression so fast, it almost made me laugh. "Okay," he said. "We can take it slow. Start with dating apps." Perfect. He leaned over and kissed my cheek, like I had just passed some kind of test. "I knew you'd understand," he said. "We're good at this. We're mature."
Mature.
That night, we sat on the couch side by side while he created profiles. 3 different apps. He even asked for my opinion on his photos. "What about this one?" he asked, showing me a picture from a friend's party. "You look confident there," I said. "Use that one." "You're being really cool about this," he smiled. "Why wouldn't I be?" I replied. "This was your idea." He didn't catch the tone. Of course he didn't. He went to bed happy. I stayed up, and I made my own profile. But not the way he expected. Not desperate. Not emotional. Honest. Recently opened relationship after 4 years. Looking for something real. Whether that's connection, conversation, or seeing where things go. Simple.
Clear.
No games. As I typed it out, I realized something. Sometimes agreeing isn't acceptance. Sometimes it's just recognizing that something has already ended and deciding not to fight it. By Wednesday afternoon, I got my answer. Marcus texted me while I was at work. Grabbing drinks with someone after work. Don't wait up. I stared at the message for a second. Then I smiled. Sounds good, I replied, because I had plans too. And unlike Marcus, I wasn't exploring. I was already moving on. By Wednesday night, Marcus came home glowing. There's no other word for it. He walked through the door with that loose, satisfied energy people have when they think life has just confirmed every flattering belief they hold about themselves. I was on the couch, watching a cooking show I wasn't really paying attention to. Good date? I asked. He paused, like he hadn't expected me to ask so calmly. Yeah, he said, pulling off his jacket. Actually, amazing. That's great. He watched my face. I gave him nothing. Her name's Lena, he added. She's in design. Really creative. Deep thinker. Sounds nice. He sat beside me, still waiting for the crack in my voice. The jealousy. The panic. The part where I begged him to reassure me. Instead, I reached for my tea. What did you do tonight? He asked. I had dinner with someone. His smile slipped. Who? Daniel. The room changed immediately. His shoulders stiffened. Daniel? Marketing consultant. 34. Very interesting person. How'd you meet him? Dating app. His brows pulled together. Already? I looked at him. We agreed to this Monday night, Marcus. Why waste time? He gave a short laugh, but it didn't sound real. Right. Yeah, of course. We went to that new sushi place downtown, I said. The one I've been wanting to try. His eyes flickered. You went there? Yeah, it was good. You should take Lena. He didn't say anything for a moment. Then he stood. I'm tired. He went to bed without kissing me goodnight. That was the first crack. The next morning, he sat at the kitchen table, swiping so aggressively, his thumb looked like it might catch fire. Everything okay? I asked. Fine, he said. Just checking matches. Nice. How many? He shrugged too casually. Like 30? That's great. He looked up. How many do you have? I stirred my coffee slowly. I stopped counting after 50. His phone dropped onto the table. 50? Something like that. But I'm only talking to 6 or 7. Quality over quantity. 6 or 7? He repeated. Is that a problem? No, he said quickly. No, I just didn't realize that women would be interested. His jaw tightened. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He grabbed his laptop and went to work from the bedroom. Marcus had wanted freedom. He just hadn't expected mine to look better on me than his did on him. That evening, he went on another date. He came back early. She was boring, he muttered, dropping his keys into the bowl by the door. Sorry. I meant it. Mostly. Then he saw me smiling at my phone. Who's that? Ryan. He came closer. Another one? He's in tech too. He sent me a terrible programming joke. Marcus leaned over enough to see the photo. Ryan had kind eyes, dark hair, a calm smile. Not flashy. Not trying too hard, Marcus noticed. He's handsome, he said. Yeah, I replied. He is. His face tightened. Are you meeting him? Saturday morning. For what? Farmer's market. His head snapped toward me. That's our thing. I nodded. Was our thing. His eyes hardened. Wow. What? You're really just taking men to places that mattered to us? I turned my phone face down. Marcus, you asked to date other people while staying together. Did you think memories were protected property? He stared at me like he wanted to argue, but couldn't find the rule I had broken. That was the thing about rules. People love them when they only restrict someone else. Saturday came cold and bright. The kind of morning where the air felt clean enough to make bad decisions look temporary. I met Ryan by the coffee stand near the entrance. He was already there, holding 2 cups. I guessed oat milk, he said. That's dangerously confident. I panicked and asked the barista what looked like a thoughtful choice. I laughed. And the strange thing was, it felt easy. Not performative. Not like I was proving something. Just easy. We spent nearly 3 hours wandering between stalls, buying overpriced honey, arguing about which peaches looked least suspicious, and making fun of a man selling healing crystals like they came with medical warranties. Ryan asked about my work. Really asked. Not the polite version where someone waits for their turn to talk. The kind where he remembered details and came back to them later. At one point, while we were standing near a flower stall, he said, "You seem like someone who's been carrying more than you admit." I looked at him. That obvious? No, he said. Just familiar. Something about that landed softly.
Dangerously.
Before leaving, we took one photo together. Nothing intimate. Just the two of us, laughing, coffees in hand, morning light behind us. I posted it. Caption: "Great morning at the market." My phone exploded within 20 minutes. Marcus called 6 times. I didn't answer. I was on a date. When I finally checked my messages, they came in a spiral. Who is he? Why would you post that? Evelyn, call me back. This is humiliating. People are asking who he is. When I got home, Marcus was sitting on the couch with his laptop open. He didn't say hello. I looked him up, he said. That's creepy. He works at Northline Systems, Marcus continued. Senior engineer. Went to Stanford. Volunteers with some animal rescue thing. I took off my coat slowly. Marcus, this isn't a competition. How many dates have you been on? 3. His mouth parted slightly. 3? 2, really. 1 canceled. He closed his laptop harder than necessary. I saw your profile. Okay. You have comments. Comments? He shoved his phone toward me. On one app, matches could leave short notes if both people agreed to keep things friendly. There were 4. She actually listens. Looks exactly like her photos. Smart, funny, emotionally honest. Rare. Her boyfriend is an idiot for opening that door. That last one was from Daniel. We had both realized there wasn't a romantic spark, but we'd stayed friendly. Marcus's face had gone pale. People can see these, he said. Matches can. Do you know how this makes me look? I tilted my head, like someone who got what he asked for. His eyes flashed. That's cruel. No, I said softly. Cruel would be pretending I don't know what this really was. His voice lowered. I didn't think you'd be this good at it. There it was. The truth. Small and ugly, sitting between us. You thought I'd struggle, I said. He didn't answer. You thought I'd go on one awkward date, come home insecure, and feel grateful you still wanted me? Evelyn, you thought I'd wait. His silence said enough. And somehow, that hurt more than the open relationship itself, because it meant he hadn't wanted freedom for both of us. He had wanted permission for himself, and a leash for me. Sunday morning, Marcus woke up earlier than usual. I could hear him in the kitchen, moving around too loudly for someone who claimed he was just making coffee. I stayed in bed for a few minutes, staring at the ceiling, replaying the last few days in my head. Not the arguments, not the tension. The clarity. That quiet, steady realization that something I had been holding on to no longer existed. When I walked into the kitchen, Marcus was already dressed. Big plans? I asked. He shrugged. Meeting Lena later. Nice. He hesitated. What about you? I poured myself coffee. Dinner with Daniel tonight. His eyes flicked toward me. Again? We're trying a new place. He nodded slowly, like he was keeping score now. Everything had become numbers to him. Matches, dates, reactions. He didn't understand that I had already stepped out of the game. That afternoon, he lingered around the apartment longer than necessary, scrolling through his phone, sighing just loud enough to be noticed. Everything okay? I asked at one point. Yeah, he said. Just, people are weird. How so? These apps, he muttered. Girls say they want something casual, but then they disappear. Or they find out I'm in a relationship, and suddenly it's a problem. I leaned against the counter. Maybe lead with that. I do. How do you frame it? He hesitated. That we're open. Exploring. Nothing serious. I nodded slowly. And? And what? And do you mention that you live with your girlfriend of 4 years? His jaw tightened. Not exactly like that. Then it sounds like you're selling a version of yourself that doesn't fully exist, I I said calmly. He ran a hand through his hair. You're making it sound worse than it is. I'm making it sound accurate. That night, Daniel and I met at a small restaurant tucked between two bookstores downtown. He was already there, standing when I walked in. You look different tonight, he said. Different how? Lighter. I smiled faintly. Maybe I am. Dinner was easy,
Comfortable.
but somewhere between the second glass of wine and the dessert menu, I realized something important. Daniel was great,
Kind. Smart. Attentive.
but I wasn't leaning forward anymore. Not the way I had with Ryan. Not the way I caught myself wanting to. And that mattered. On Tuesday, I canceled my next dinner with Daniel. Not abruptly. Not cruelly. Just honestly. I think you're a good person, I told him over the phone. But I don't want to blur lines where they don't naturally exist. He laughed softly. I was thinking the same thing. We stayed on the phone a little longer, talking about everything and nothing. Then we said goodbye, like adults who didn't need drama to validate connection. When I got home, Marcus was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. How was your night? He asked quickly. Good. Where'd you go? I told him. Sounds nice. It was. He hesitated. I had drinks with someone too. Oh? Didn't really click. I nodded. That happens. He looked at me like he wanted me to say more. To comfort him. To remind him he still mattered. I didn't. Wednesday, he tried harder. I could see it in the way he dressed, the way he checked his phone, the way he kept mentioning names I didn't ask about. Going out with someone named Chloe tonight, he said. Have fun. You don't want to know anything about her? No, I said simply. That answer unsettled him more than anything else I had done, because indifference is louder than anger. That same night, Ryan texted me. Hey, there's a dog adoption event Saturday. Thought of you. I smiled at my phone. I've actually been thinking about getting one. Then come by. Worst case, you pet dogs for 2 hours and leave happy. Best case, you leave with a dog that thinks you're its entire universe. Something about that felt right. Saturday morning, I met Ryan at the shelter. The place smelled like disinfectant and excitement. Dogs barking, volunteers moving quickly, people laughing, kids running between cages. Ryan handed me a coffee. Oat milk, he said. Still dangerously confident. He grinned. We walked through the rows slowly, and then I saw him. A pit mix, maybe 70 pounds, sitting awkwardly in the corner of his kennel, trying to make himself smaller than he was. Why is he sitting like that? I asked. Because he thinks he's a lap dog, the volunteer said. I crouched down. He walked over immediately and leaned his entire weight against the gate. I laughed. Well, that's not subtle. Ryan crouched beside me. He's choosing you. I looked at him. Or he just wants attention. Same thing sometimes. An hour later, I was sitting on the floor with that same dog half in my lap, his head pressed against my shoulder like he had always been there. I think this is happening, I said. Ryan smiled. I figured. I named him Bronson. On the drive home, he tried to climb into the front seat twice. By the time we got back to the apartment, I was already attached. Marcus was waiting when I walked in. His expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. What is that? This, I said calmly, as Bronson immediately waddled over and tried to climb into my lap again, is Bronson. You got a dog? I did. We talked about getting a dog together. Yes, I said. When we were building a future together. His face tightened. So now you're just making decisions like this? You're dating other women, Marcus. That's different. Is it? Yes, he snapped. A dog is permanent. I looked at him for a long second. So was I. Silence. Bronson snored softly, completely unaware he had just walked into the middle of a breakup that hadn't been officially announced yet. Marcus ran a hand over his face. This is getting out of control. No, I said quietly. It's getting clear. That night, while Bronson slept at my feet, Marcus sat across from me like he was trying to solve a problem that didn't have a solution he liked. I think we should close the relationship, he said finally. I reached down, absent-mindedly scratching behind Bronson's ears. Why? Because this isn't what I wanted. I looked up at him. What did you want, Marcus? He opened his mouth, then closed it. And for the first time since this started, he didn't have an answer. Marcus didn't answer right away. He just sat there, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor like the right version of the truth might appear if he waited long enough. I didn't rush him. Bronson shifted beside me, letting out a soft snore, completely at peace in a space that had become anything but. Finally, Marcus spoke. I thought this would be different. I tilted my head slightly. Different how? He exhaled, frustrated. I thought it would make us stronger. That we'd appreciate each other more. That's the version you practiced, I said quietly. What's the real one? His jaw tightened. I held his gaze. Say it. Silence stretched between us. Then, barely above a whisper, I thought Lena liked me. There it was. No philosophy. No therapist. Just that. I thought if we opened things up, he continued, words coming faster now, I could see what that was like, without actually cheating. And me? I asked. He hesitated. I thought you'd stay the same. I almost smiled. The same? Yeah, he said quickly. Like, you'd go on maybe one bad date, realize what we had, and we'd just come back to each other. And while I was doing that, I said, you'd be exploring Lena. Not like that, he said, but even he didn't sound convinced. I leaned back slightly, studying him. So the plan was, I said slowly, you test the waters with someone you already had in mind, while I stay emotionally available in case it doesn't work out. That's not fair. It's accurate. He ran both hands through his hair. I made a mistake. No, I said calmly. You made a decision. There's a difference. Mistakes are accidents. Decisions come with intention. He looked at me, eyes already starting to gloss over. Then let's fix it. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I reached for my phone, opened the apps, and one by one, I deleted them. Marcus watched, his entire body shifting as relief washed over him. Okay, he breathed. Okay, good. We can fix this. I set my phone down. I'm done with the apps. He nodded quickly. Me too, obviously. I don't want any of that anymore. I believe you. His shoulders relaxed for the first time all week. Then I held his gaze. I'm seeing Ryan. The relief disappeared instantly. What? Exclusively. His face went blank. No, he said. No, that's not what we just agreed. That's what I decided. But we're closing the relationship. I am, I said. Just not with you. The color drained from his face. We've been together 4 years, Evelyn. We were, I corrected. You don't throw that away for someone you met 2 weeks ago. I didn't, I said quietly. You did. His voice cracked. I said I made a mistake, and I said you made a choice. He stood up abruptly, pacing now. This is insane, is it? Yes, he snapped. You're acting like everything we had meant nothing. I looked at him. It meant everything. That's why this matters. He stopped pacing. You didn't even fight for us. That one almost made me laugh. I fought for us for 6 months, I said, while you were pulling away and calling it finding yourself. That's not what... I don't fight for people who aren't sure they want me, I said, my voice still calm. I don't audition for a role I've already earned. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me anymore. Maybe he didn't, because the version of me he was used to would have begged, would have negotiated, would have tried to be enough. This version didn't. This is about him, Marcus said finally, clinging to something he could blame. Ryan. He got in your head. I shook my head slowly. No. Ryan just showed up when I had already started seeing things clearly. He laughed bitterly. Of course, the new guy is perfect. He's not perfect, I said. He's just certain. About what? About me. Silence. That landed harder than anything else. Marcus sat back down, slower this time. So that's it? He asked quietly. 4 years? And you're just done? I looked at him for a long moment. There hasn't been a we since the night you asked me to be okay with losing you. His eyes filled. I didn't mean it like that. I know, I said softly. And that's the problem. He leaned forward, voice breaking now. Evelyn, please. I love you. I held his gaze. I loved you too. Past tense. It hung in the air between us, like something final. He flinched. It doesn't have to be past tense. Yes, I said gently. It does. Why? Because I deserve someone who doesn't need to date other people to figure out if they want me. Tears slipped down his face now. I was scared. So was I said. I just didn't use that as an excuse to risk losing you. He covered his face with his hands. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he whispered, "What happens now?" I looked around the apartment, at the space we had shared, at the life that had quietly unraveled over the past 2 weeks. You move out. His head snapped up. What? My name is on the lease, I said calmly. I pay most of the rent. I'll give you 30 days. You're serious? I am. You can't just... I can, I said. And I am. His expression shifted from grief to anger. You're cold. No, I said quietly. I'm clear. That night, he didn't sleep in the bedroom. Bronson stayed curled up beside me, breathing slow and steady, like a reminder that something in my life was finally uncomplicated. The next morning, Marcus tried a different approach. Soft voice, gentle movements, familiar music playing in the background. He made breakfast. Remember this song? He asked. I nodded. Our first road trip. We were so happy, he said. I looked at him. Were we? He froze. Or were you already wondering what else was out there? His face crumpled. I just got scared of forever. And I got scared of not being enough, I said. We handled that differently. He reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't hold on either. That was the moment he realized it. Not during the argument, not during the decision. Now, when there was nothing left to grab onto. I lost you, he whispered. I didn't correct him, because for the first time, he was exactly right. The next 48 hours were intense. Not dramatic in the way people expect. No screaming matches every hour. No doors slamming on repeat. It was worse than that. It was unstable. Marcus moved through cycles so fast, it was almost disorienting. 1 minute, he was apologizing. I can fix this, Evelyn. Just give me a chance. The next, he was angry. You're really throwing this away for some guy you barely know? Then guilt. 4 years doesn't mean anything to you? Then blame. You set me up. You wanted this. I didn't match his energy, not once, because there was nothing left in me that needed to react. Monday morning, he called in sick to work, stayed home, texted me nonstop while I was at the office. Paragraphs, voice notes, missed calls. You're making a mistake. She's going to leave you. You'll regret this. I'm keeping the apartment. That last one made me pause. Not emotionally, logically. I replied once. My name is on the lease. I cover 70% of the rent. We both know how this works. He didn't respond after that. That evening, his sister Danielle called me. I almost didn't pick up, but I did. Evelyn, what is going on? She demanded immediately. Marcus is a mess. I'm aware. He said you're leaving him over this open relationship thing. I'm not leaving him, I said calmly. He ended the relationship the moment he asked for it. That's not fair, she snapped. He just wanted to explore, spice things up. By dating his coworker? Silence. Then, sharper. That's not what he said. Of course it's not. He told me you were being controlling, Danielle continued. That you never let him have female friends. Friends? I repeated. Or women he wanted to sleep with. That's not... He asked for permission to pursue someone else while keeping me, I said. Call it whatever makes you comfortable. Danielle exhaled hard. He thought you'd fight for him. I let that sit for a second. Why? I asked. He wasn't fighting for me. All women say things like that sometimes, she said defensively. It doesn't mean they want to lose their partner. No, I replied calmly. Emotionally stable people don't need to date other people to confirm they love the one they're with. You're going to regret this. I already don't. I hung up before she could say anything else. Tuesday morning, things escalated. I came home to find the apartment rearranged. My books stacked in uneven piles, my work files shoved into boxes. Bronson's bed moved awkwardly into the corner. Marcus stood in the middle of the living room, arms crossed. "If you're leaving anyway," he said coldly, "we should start separating things." I set my bag down slowly. "I'm not leaving." He blinked. "What?" "You are." His expression shifted instantly. "You can't kick me out." "I can," I said. "You're not on the lease. You transfer me rent. That's not the same thing. You need to give me notice." "I am." I pulled out my phone, typed, "Sent." "You now have written notice," I said. 30 days. His face went pale. "You're unbelievable." "I'm being fair." He laughed bitterly. "You wanted to explore," I said. "Now you can explore apartment listings." That night, he broke something. A mug, not thrown at me, just thrown. It shattered against the wall, ceramic pieces scattering across the floor. Bronson ran straight into the bedroom and hid. "You ruined everything!" Marcus shouted. I stood there, still. "You did," I said quietly. "I didn't even sleep with her," he snapped. "That's not the point." "It should be." "No," I said. "The point is, you wanted to." That stopped him. For a moment, then he said something softer. "He has a girlfriend." I blinked. "What?" "Lena," he said, voice hollow now. "She has a boyfriend. They're serious." I stared at him, and then I laughed. I couldn't help it. Not cruelly, not loudly, just in disbelief. "You blew up our relationship," I said slowly, "for someone who wasn't even available?" "Stop laughing," he said, voice cracking. "This isn't funny." I looked at him. It kind of is, because the illusion had collapsed completely. He hadn't been chasing something real. He had been chasing attention, and he lost everything for it. The next day, he tried something different, soft again.
Familiar.
He cooked dinner, played our playlist, wore the shirt I once told him made him look grounded. "Remember this?" he asked gently. "Yes." "We were happy." I met his eyes. "I was." He flinched. "I got scared," he said. "Marriage is forever. So is breaking someone's trust." He sat down slowly. "You didn't fight for us." "I did," I said. "You just didn't notice when it mattered." Friday afternoon, I got a call from Ryan. "Hey," he said carefully. "Your ex showed up at my office." My stomach tightened slightly. "What happened?" "He told reception he was your brother," Ryan said. "Said there was a family emergency." I closed my eyes briefly. "I'm so sorry." "It's okay," Ryan said. "Security handled it." I exhaled slowly. "What did he say to you?" Ryan paused. "He tried to have a conversation. Said I was interfering. That I didn't understand your history." "And what did you say?" "That you're not something that can be taken if you were already walking away." I felt something settle in my chest.
Steady. Certain.
"Thank you. Just document everything," Ryan added, "in case this escalates." I nodded, even though he couldn't see it. "I will." That weekend, Marcus finally started packing. Not dramatically,
Quietly.
like someone who had run out of arguments. Sunday morning, his father and younger brother came to help. His father barely looked at me. "I thought you were better than this," he said. "Better than what?" I asked calmly. "Walking away after one mistake." I met his gaze. "He didn't make a mistake," I said. "He made a decision and expected me to wait while he explored it." His father didn't respond, but his brother lingered behind for a moment. "For what it's worth," he said quietly, "I told him this was a bad idea." I gave a small nod. "Sometimes people need to learn the hard way." He nodded back. They finished loading the last box. Marcus stood by the door. "One last time. I loved you," he said. "I loved you too." Past tense. Again, he swallowed hard. "It didn't have to end like this." "Yes," I said. "It did." "Why?" "Because I deserve someone who doesn't need to risk losing me to understand my value." Tears filled his eyes again, but this time, I didn't feel pulled toward him, only distance. He left, and just like that, it was quiet. 3 weeks later, life felt different. Not louder, not more exciting, just steady. Ryan and I took things slowly. Not because we had doubts, but because neither of us felt the need to rush something that already felt right. Bronson grew into his role as a 70-pound lapdog. He snored like a lawnmower and followed me from room to room like I might disappear if he looked away too long. Sometimes I'd catch myself smiling for no reason, not because everything was perfect, but because everything was honest. I heard things about Marcus through mutual friends. That he said I manipulated him, that I turned the open relationship against him, that I left him for someone else. People tell themselves stories they can survive. The truth is usually quieter. He wanted freedom. He just didn't expect it to cost him everything. The last message I ever got from him came late one night. Lena got engaged. Should have been us. I stared at it for a long second. Then I replied, no, it shouldn't have. And that was it. Blocked.
Closed.
Done. Sometimes the cleanest ending isn't dramatic. It's just clarity. Understanding that love isn't something you prove by waiting while someone else explores their options. It's something you protect. And if they don't, you leave them with the consequences of that choice. And you move forward. Not bitter, not broken, just certain.